Okay. All right, welcome to our third attempt to get together and talk about art with our Art Talks live meets. I am so happy to see all of you guys, even though most of your cameras are off. Um, it was good to see your faces for a few minutes as we were trying to get going here. As you can see, we have gone from me in my living room to me in front of my parent-in-law's house trying to use their Wi-Fi. Now I'm in the back seat of my car in the high school parking lot. So this will be our last attempt at trying to do this live. It just seems to be something that the technology I have available to me cannot handle very well. So thank you guys for being here, and let's get moving here with what we can do. So at the beginning here, when we were all kind of hanging out and testing things, I showed you this quick 2-minute contour drawing of Evan. He sent me a photo. Let's try to present my screen now and see how this goes, and see if you can see the photo he gave me as a reference for that. If you'll remember, if you were here the first week for Art Talks, Evan won on the Bob Ross Happy Little Wheel of Prizes a contour drawing by me. That's not going to be his final thing, but can you see this picture of Evan? Somebody's going to have to unmute and tell me.
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Nope. That's okay.
I can now.
Yes.
Oh, you can? Okay. So
Yeah.
we're just lagging a little bit. Okay. All right. Let me pull it back up. All right. So that's the photo he gave me right there. Looks like he's pretty much quarantining like a good boy. And then there's the 2-minute modified contour. Now, Evan, I promise the final will be more detailed than that. So something that you can hang on to. All right. So today we're going to talk as best we can. And if it just gets to be super frustrating and annoying, then we will end our meet like we've had to do a couple of times. And I will just post some video for you to look at on Canvas when you have time. But today we're going to talk about self-portraits. You guys did an assignment earlier in the week where you took a selfie, and then you either used the Google Arts and Culture website to find your match. And let's go there for a second really quickly. This is a really cool thing. You can't get to it on the website. You had to be able to have a phone to download it to. So if you didn't have a phone to download it to, some of you just did some digging with some links that I gave you. So thanks for doing that. Actually, let's go to here. Okay. So here's the assignment that you had. And part of the assignment was to watch this video by Nate Heck. He is a former artist and graphic designer, web designer, and then he became an art educator for a while. And now he creates this award-winning art video production, Art Rages with Nate. And he goes all over the world looking at famous art and kind of trying to teach to junior high school level people a little bit more about what's out there in the art world. One of the things he likes to talk about a lot is that every single thing that you guys wear, eat, use, watch, sit in or on, or walk under or on, anything out there at one point in time was created by some kind of artist. And that's something that we would have talked a couple days about in our class together this semester if we'd been together, just all the different art careers out there. Right now in 2020, and this is only going to grow as time passes, but right now in 2020, there are actually more careers available in visual arts related fields than there are in medical arts related fields. So think about that for a minute. Think about all of the nurses and doctors and frontline workers who we are so proud of right now, who are working so hard. There's tons of them, but there's actually more availability for you as you guys look ahead to your future to pursue a career that involves visual arts. So that's something he likes to focus on. But in this video, he was telling you a little bit about the history of the selfie, and going all the way back to you know, how people used to paint themselves in self-portraits. And so you guys showed me that. And then what I'd like to do now, if we can, is, let me get back to me real quick. Yeah, that's fine, Braxton. It's okay. You can still watch in Canvas if you want to. Let me see this really quickly. Okay, so I wanted to show if you give me permission. So of the 23 of you who are here, if you've already turned in that assignment where you took a picture of yourself and then you found your doppelganger or your lookalike person through the app or through the links that I gave you, and you posted that in Canvas, I would love to show some of those, but I am not going to show them without your permission because that's a very personal thing. So if you are willing to let me show that, will you unmute and tell me?
Yes.
I don't.
Who was who was the first yes? Was that Sophia?
Yes.
Okay, let me find your Sophia.
Oh.
Hang on. I'm leaving student view in Canvas and you should be seeing my Canvas speed grader. Hang on. Let me go back here because somebody put something in the chat. I swear I did an hour and a half webinar yesterday of super boring stuff. It's actually good, but okay, Caleb. Yeah, go ahead and type it in the chat. That would be easy to do too. And nothing. Like we did all kinds of stuff and no hiccups. So let's just keep crossing our fingers and our toes that this is going to work. All right, so let's find Sophia's first and then we'll go to Caleb's. And Kaylee said no, no, no. So we will pass right over Kaylee's or right before hers. All right. So can you see? This is hilarious. I love Sophia's. Can you see? It's loading, it's loading, it's loading. Sophia and her cat. I love how, I said, think about using a pet or think about the clothes you're wearing, matching something. I love how you actually found this mashup that someone created of the Mona Lisa holding a big fat cat, because then there you are. No offense to your cat, but he looks kind of big. Is he a big one or is he a little bitty boy? I can't tell.
Really tiny, but
okay. So there's Sophia's. And then let's go up here to and which you guys know, like that's totally a mashup. That was Photoshop, but still hilarious. And then let's go to Caleb's right here. I love how on Caleb's, you'll see in just a second. Hang on, wait till it loads. I love how the hair is what, like they were seeing the facial features. Let's zoom in on that just a little bit. Definitely the app was seeing the facial features, right? Like the eyes and the everything, but they did not match the smile. The one he chose was really, I think, looking at like it's his hair and his eyebrows and kind of like from here down. But that was pretty cool. So Caleb, your famous art doppelganger is Josiah Henry. Did you find out anything about him? You want to unmute and tell me anything you found out?
He's like a governor's son or something.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. So let's keep that in the back of your mind. A governor's son. All right. Did anybody else give me permission? Kaylee and Sophia were the only ones to say okay. Anybody else? There's some good ones. Some of you didn't quite totally pull off what I was asking for the assignment, so it's just kind of partially there, but a lot of you found some really cool stuff. Okay. Oh, thank you, Ethan. It's okay. Just get it done when you can. Marissa says no. Marissa, yours was really good. So was yours, Addie. I love the hair match. Okay, that's fine. All right, so if you guys are going to be that way, then here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second. And I am going to go to the Google Arts and Culture app, and I'm going to do it. So, easier said than done on my phone. All right. Thank you for your willingness, Parker. Nate, you didn't give me a doppelganger. You just gave me your picture. I need somebody that you match in a famous artwork.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the app. And then let's see. I'm trying to get up here where I can kind of see myself too. Okay, so here's the app. Here's my photo. Let's see how it works with the art selfie. You guys remember that if you got to that point. And wow, this is going to be interesting. All right. Okay, so my face is glowing because of all my windows. Here we go. Oh my gosh, my top match is a man. All right. Okay. There's my favorite right there. That's a match for me. Not sure how I feel about myself right now.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. If I were to be submitting this for this, oh, I love Botticelli. Oh, wow. Hey, I think that one's a bit closer than the long bearded hairy man. Maybe, I hope. So anyway, this is just a cool tool. And then if you like one of them, you can click on there and you can find out more. They'll give you just the quick little abstract, which is the basic facts about it. And then if you want to, you can click to see where that artwork is. This is actually, it looks like it's in New York. Yeah, at the Hudson River Museum. Private Abigail Halley. And then you can find out more about that portrait. So kind of just a fun little tool that Google Arts and Culture has developed using all kinds of AI by looking at your face and then looking at their database of over 6 million curated pieces of art. Curated means these pieces of art are actually housed somewhere by someone so that they can be seen like in a museum or a gallery. It's not in a private collection. Okay. All right. Caden is stepping up and he said he's going to take one for the team. And then I'm trying, let me share my screen again. And we'll look at Caleb's real quick. Sorry, Caden's. We already looked at Caleb's. Okay. So let me share my screen again. And go here. And I'm going right over some good ones. All right. There you go. Now, I mean, I'll be honest, Caden, that one I thought was like kind of eerily close. Look at that. What do you remember about that young man that you found there? Do you want to type it or unmute and tell me? Did you remember anything about that painting that you found? Nothing? Okay, that's fine. No worries. Okay. Yeah, Ethan, if you get that done, then we'll take a look at it too. You'll probably just have to like hold it up on the screen and turn your camera on, and that's how we can do it in just a second, okay? All right, so let's move on for just a minute. First of all, going back to the assignment that you had, Nate Heck, the guy I was telling you about that produced those videos, I did tell you if you can find out where he used to be an art teacher, the city that he worked in, then you would get 3 extra submissions in our drawing for the Bob Ross Happy Little Wheel Fun. And 2 people made some decent guesses, but they were not correct. He used to teach in Indy. So he's a local guy who travels around the world, and he's got this award-winning channel on YouTube. So check it out if you want to. All right, so just a little bit about just going back to thinking about selfies. If we had been together, you guys would have had an opportunity to create a self-portrait, and you would have had lots of different options. You would not have had to just draw one straight up from a photo. You would have had some really cool, fun options to do that. Some of them being more abstract, and some of them being a little bit more crafty, where you bring together other things. And some of them, if you wanted to take on the challenge of just doing a drawing, we would have done that together. But since we're not together, let's at least talk about it for a few minutes. And hopefully when you guys are back with me in the 8th grade, we can jump back to this. I think it's important as an artist to look at self-portraits and to think about them because if you're serious about trying to understand and improve your skills, self-portraits are a really convenient way to do that. I mean, if one of the things that most of my students tell me, if I ask the question, what do you want to learn to do? What do you want to learn how to draw better? Most people will say something about either animals, they want to learn to draw animals, or they want to learn to draw people or faces. And one of the best ways to do that is just to use your own face as a reference. So that's kind of cool. It's easy, it's convenient, and you can practice drawing different expressions by using a photo of yourself or by looking in a mirror. So it's good practice. And think way back, You know, back in the Renaissance period, which would have been like the 14 to 1500s, so 600 or 700 years ago, you know, people weren't as connected as we are under normal circumstances today. So a lot of times it was just necessity. If someone wanted to learn to draw or paint better, sometimes all they had was a mirror that they could use to try to recreate themselves in a portrait. And sometimes new artists didn't have the money to pay a model to model for them. So that's part of it. But the other thing that I really like about selfies or self-portraits, especially when it's something that's not just your streaks or not just a totally Insta made up portrait of yourself looking all like fresh makeup and fixed hair, getting out of bed. You know what I'm talking about. When it's real and authentic, they can be very, very revealing about who we are, about our mood or our feelings. Obviously, like the picture that Evan sent me, he didn't look like he was like super duper excited about his situation. But I appreciate that he sent that to me. But it can also reveal a little bit about the time and place where we live. So if you think about it, portraits, self-portraits in particular, where you get to choose all these things, tell a little bit more about you by what you're wearing. And that could be like, what kind of job do you have? The portrait that I found on my phone just now of the lady who was dressed in military uniform, she was a private in the Army. Okay, I know that not just because of the title of the painting, but even if I just saw it by what she was wearing. Long time ago, before photography, when portraits were the only way that we really knew anything about the people of a place, then royalty would wear their royal garb. They would stand in front of a big bountiful buffet of food or show off their riches and their opulence in their portraits. And then also, some of the other things that we learn about people through portraits, through what's included in the portrait, is what they love. Like if it's a portrait of someone with their horse, then you understand that for some reason the horse is an important part of their lives because it's part of that moment with them. The other thing that I think is interesting, and we'll look at this with one of the artists that we look at in just a second, is that before photos, which you can do this with photos and selfies and everything now, but before photos, if an artist wanted to have some way for people one day to look back and see who he was, maybe not just once he was super famous, but the progression of him or her as they aged or as they went through different experiences in their life, the best way to do that was for them to paint that or sculpt it if they were a sculptor, but that would take like an incredibly long amount of time. So that's not commonly what artists would do. Van Gogh was an artist that did this a lot. Rembrandt, several of you, your matches were of Rembrandt portraits. Rembrandt was one who did this a lot. And you can watch the progression of Rembrandt as a young man all the way through different times of his life, all the way right up to near his death. He was still painting portraits of himself. So it's kind of cool. It's like a timeline of the artist too. Another thing that can be shown in portraits, especially a self-portrait, is where you are, like the place where you are. If you compose a portrait of yourself and the background is your room, then we know a little bit about like the culture that you're in, like what kind of decor in your room, what kind of posters are on your wall, that kind of thing. If you wanted to think a little bit bigger, if there were a portrait today, there's a famous portrait that was created of Michelle Obama by a contemporary artist that shows her not in a real place. It's kind of fantasy, but it shows her with all this greenery and things around her, like to show a little bit about what was important to her. So where you are in the portrait matters too. Just if it's not just a plain white background, you can kind of put it in context. Even if we look at the Mona Lisa, it was a fake background, but Da Vinci included this beautiful background that goes way back in space that shows rivers and mountains and this beautiful natural scene. So that's some things to think about. All right, so we're going to look at a couple of these, and hopefully my screen sharing will still work, and we'll get to those. But here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity, and hang on, let me write this down really quick. So Caden, Sophia, Caleb, you were the only three. Ethan, did you ever get your portrait on your phone that you want to share with us? Okay, so Ethan, if you want to turn your camera on really quick, I hope this will work, but if you want to turn your camera on and just hold it up, then we can probably see what you came up with for yours. Is that gonna work? I'm not seeing you, Ethan. Hang on. Okay. All right, we'll try that at the end. But for those three people, and then Ethan, if he's able, you're back. Okay. Can you turn your camera on and just hold your phone up to the camera and let us see what you found for your doppelganger? Okay, we'll try that in a little bit, but just hang on, okay? Be ready to do that in just a second. Sorry, my leg's falling asleep because I'm having to sit in the back seat here. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, and we'll try this for one artist, and if it doesn't work, no worries, we'll adapt. But I want to give you a chance to do some digging for me, okay? So you're gonna search. I'm gonna give you some clues to okay, Nate, thank you. I'm gonna give you some clues to some artists who were really, really, really into creating self-portraits. And I'm just going to kind of give you the clues. You can pull up a tab and start a Google search. You can go to wikiart.org if you want to. And I'm going to see who can respond in the chat first with the name of the artist that I'm describing. Okay. So however you want to do this, and if you're not able to do it easily because of the device you're on or anything, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But let's give it a shot. If you do get this right, you'll get your name in the drawing. Okay. The first artist that we are going to try to find is female. And she lived in the early 1900s. I'm going to type this in the chat too, okay? Just one thing at a time, one clue at a time. Maybe if I can type in my car. Okay, and she's from Mexico. Very good, Caleb. Frida Kahlo. All right, so let's look at her for just a second. Okay, let me get to my right tabs here. Okay, so Frida Kahlo is probably right now, especially, she's super popular, and she is probably the most well-known female portrait artist in the last 100+ years. She is famously painted herself a lot of times with the kind of unibrow look that she had going on. So a lot of times people that's the first physical feature that comes to mind with her because it's so significant. But she was actually married to another artist, Diego Rivera, and a lot of her art, as you can see in this quick little snippet here in Google Arts and Culture, was very emotional and turbulent. And it's because Diego was a cheater. They actually married, split up, and remarried. So she married him twice, but in the midst of all that, he cheated on her a lot, even with her own sister. So a lot of her art, and this is just a Google Earth view of a home where they lived, and just kind of showing you some stuff. This that you're seeing is her studio and home in Mexico. But let's go down just a little bit. Okay, so here's a portrait of Frida called Two Fridas. Let's look at this for just a second. I think I actually already have it pulled up right here. And this is pretty symbolic. Whoops, sorry, it just reloaded. This is pretty symbolic of what she was going through as Diego kept cheating on her. And sorry, I'm trying to get this to go to the big picture so we can see it a little bit bigger. Okay, there we go. So this is herself twice. And this is her holding her own hand, and it's kind of showing a little, and this is kind of how her art was. It was a little bit gruesome or grotesque at times, pretty vividly grotesque at times, but this one's a little more subdued. But it shows her in the white dress with the blood stains and, you know, something going on here, and then we've got her heart here. So look at this for just a second, and if anybody wants to, tell me what you think she's trying to show us here, knowing just a little bit of the backstory that you know about her life. And I'm going to have to, if you could just unmute and talk, it'd be easier because I can't see the chat right now.
She got her heart ripped out.
Okay, was that Sophia?
No,
Who's that?
Kaylee.
Kaylee, thank you. Okay, so do that. Tell me who you are before you go, because I can't see you right now because I can only see what I'm showing you. Okay, so Kaylee, yes. What do you mean by that? Literally, she got her heart ripped out, or what's going on here?
No, emotionally and mentally, she got her heart ripped out.
Good, good. And I think you're exactly right. I think here we have her in a wedding type of dress, like kind of showing, like, here's what I thought things were going to be, but then here's what happened to me with his, you know, he cheated on her, and with his being disloyal. And then over here, this is interesting to me too. So yeah, definitely has her heart ripped out. Kaylee, or whoever else wants to unmute and talk, what do you think is going on in this part of the portrait? What are we seeing here?
Is it like what she wants to be like?
Okay, that's still Kaylee, right?
No, this is Caleb.
Okay, sorry, Caleb. Y'all, just tell me who you are before you start talking. Caleb, I think you're absolutely right, because here she looks whole, like literally her heart is intact, so we don't have the gruesomeness of this part over here. She looks whole, and even though you guys can't see it very well from where you are, and I really can't zoom in on it, in her hand right here, she has a portrait of Diego. So here she is, by what she includes in her portrait, by the contrast of the two different versions of herself, by the weirdness of her heart being exposed, torn out here, and whole and healthy here. She's showing us this intense emotion that she feels, and this turbulence. When he's not loyal, when he's cheating on her, this is how she feels. And then this is how she feels. That's a good question. What do you think? Who is that?
Kaylee.
Okay. So I think Kaylee, he cheated a lot, and not just with their sister, with a lot of different people. I mean, they married, they divorced, they got back together. I think that this probably is kind of like, yes, it's just kind of two different ways that she gets by. She's either heartbroken because of how he's treating her, or she feels whole and healthy when she's with him. So think about that for just a second. We're looking at a portrait, but think about relationships. Is that great that she feels whole and healthy when this guy who's like really super bad to her is with her? What do you think?
No.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I feel like this is what she's really trying to get people to see, that I don't know that she likes that. Like you're saying, that's like kind of messed up, right? Like, move on. I don't think she likes that about her. I think that's why these portraits are so evocative, which means like, whoa, ugh. But I think that she's just being honest. She's just being honest about, this is how I feel when I'm with him and I need him, and this is how I feel when he's cheating on me. So, all right, enough Frida Kahlo, but she's like super, super famous right now. There's been this big resurgence. You can even find Funko Pops of Frida Kahlo right now. So I thought you might want to see a little bit more about her. Okay, very good. All right, let's go to our next find the artist. And I'm going to give you some clues. This guy he's no longer living. So we've got that. He's male. He was a Dutch artist. He lived in the 1800s. This is kind of an obscure fact about him, but he trained to be a preacher. And in some of his later portraits, you kind of get the feeling that he can't hear you very well. Ooh, good guess, Caleb, because he is Dutch, but not Rembrandt. Good job, Kaylin. Van Gogh. Good job, Addie. Okay, so I'm going to give that to Kaylin and Addie because that was like simultaneous. All right, so Van Gogh. Let me look at my time because I've got, okay. Van Gogh is another artist that we hear so much about, mostly because a lot of us are drawn to his really colorful art. And let's look at this really quickly. This is a Van Gogh gallery of some of his self-portraits, okay? So this is what I was talking about. Later in life, he cut off his ear, so maybe he wasn't able to hear you very well. But he created, in just about 3 years of his life before he died, over 30 self-portraits. And here's a quote that hopefully you can see, but I'll read it. He's writing to a fellow painter, and he says, "I strongly urge you to study portrait painting. Do as many portraits as you can and don't flag." That means don't give up. We must win the public over later by means of the portrait. In my opinion, it is the thing of the future. So he was really forward thinking, and he was really in a lot of ways right about that. So let's look at an early, well, this is all at the end of his life, so we don't really get a glimpse of him growing like we would, although we do have pictures of him when he was a younger man. So this is one of his earlier portraits. It's kind of more traditional. It's actually in what's called a Rembrandt pose. You don't see him straight on, and you don't see him from the side. You see him 3/4 turned. And he's just kind of basically trying to show you, hey, here's who I am. And what did I tell you he trained to be? What did I just say in that clue right there? Unmute if you remember.
He trained preacher.
Preacher, good, yeah. And who was that? Who were those two people?
Marissa.
Nate.
Nate and Marissa?
Marissa.
Okay. So, yeah, he trained to be a preacher. And I think he's kind of showing you, like, and this, again, is later in his life. He's no longer a preacher, but he's kind of got this buttoned up, almost like a priest collar thing going on. And I think he's kind of showing you, like, well, here's my former self. And then let's kind of look at the progression here as we go later into life. And this is just a handful of those 30 portraits that he created. But let's look at this really quickly. And then as we go on, he moves down to the coast of France. He tries to get all these guys to come down there and paint with him from Paris. And he starts painting like this. And look what he's including now. Instead of that buttoned up preacher collar look, which he still has the same style of clothing on because that was the style of clothing, he's starting to show this new version of himself. It's got the back of his easel, his paintbrushes, and it's literally showing you a difference in the technique, how he's kind of evolved as a painter. I love that a lot of his, almost all of his paintings are signed Vincent and not Van Gogh. I think that's fantastic. He was not known when he was painting, so he probably kind of thought, you know, like, why does it matter if I put my full name on there? Nobody even looks at my paintings anyway. And then here's one from the end of his life. He's looking a little bit different. He doesn't look super happy, in my opinion. He's kind of just stoic, which means not a whole lot of expression, maybe even a little bit anxious with his furrowed brow there. But there again, your expressions change, the meaning of your portrait changes. And then we start to see a little bit of what we'll see when he paints Starry Night, which would have been almost the same time as this. We see that beautifully expressive new style of painting that we all know and love about Van Gogh. So there he is. I wanted to show you this on Google Arts and Culture. If you want to explore him just a little bit more, there's an entire museum in Amsterdam devoted to him, as it should be. He's from the Netherlands. That's where Dutch people are from. And you can explore this museum, kind of look at some different things. You can quickly look through. That's a portrait that was painted of him. That was not painted by him. That was painted by a friend of his who came to paint with him. As Van Gogh was creating sunflowers, his friend was creating a portrait of him. So you can kind of look through here and see some of the different things that he created if you kind of think he's cool and want to know more about him. Okay. All right. Good job. Let's do one more. See if you can figure out who it is. And then we will wrap up with our happy little wheel of prizes. And yes, he cut off his ear. Yeah, so the story is, let me go back here really quickly. That guy that I was just telling you about, Gauguin, that painted this painting of Van Gogh, he was one of the fellow artists from Paris that finally responded to Van Gogh's pleas to come down here and paint with me. It's so much nicer here on the coast. The light is beautiful, and you get out of all the stuffy annoyance of Paris, because Paris was and still is in a lot of ways the center of the cultural world. Art was really high pressure in Paris, basically. Like, it kind of like fashion. If you're into fashion, you go to New York, you go to Milan, you go to Paris. And so Van Gogh had escaped to the Mediterranean coast, and Gauguin came down there with him. So when Gauguin came down there, unfortunately, it was at a time when, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so you can hopefully see a little bit more detail here. Unfortunately, it was getting to be a time in Van Gogh's life when he was starting to experience some pretty serious mental illness. And he was difficult to be around. That's really part of the reason a lot of the people that he had written to didn't want to come be there with him. And Gauguin, Paul Gauguin, finally was like, okay, enough. I can't take this anymore. This guy's driving me crazy, and left on Christmas Eve. He left the beach and he went back to Paris. And so the story goes, and we don't know a lot other than what we read from letters that were exchanged and from Van Gogh's older brother Theo, who was an art dealer, and what he wrote. The story goes that Van Gogh cut off his ear, put it in the mail, and sent it to Gauguin, presumably to say, well, you say I'm not listening to you. You say I'm difficult to work with. Well, you have my ear now, because that's kind of a colloquialism, right? We say, well, you have my ear if we're listening to people. And so we think that part of it was that his mental illness was really starting to affect him. And we think that that's why that happened. Kind of crazy, huh? He was a very passionate person, we can gather from that. Okay. One last person, and then we'll wrap up here. And thank you, Ethan. We'll get to that at the end. Trying to decide. I've got two different people. Let's look at this person. Okay. This person is male. He is American. He lived in the 1900s. And his self-portraits he often described as masks. And he is famously known for painting, hold on, I'm going to say it and send it at the same time. Googling, this will really get you there. Campbell's soup cans. No joke. Cans of soup. He was very well known for that. The genre of art that he was really famous for is called pop art. Very good, Chloe. Awesome. All right, Chloe and Caleb will get that because that was like simultaneous. Andy Warhol. So let's look at him for just a second. He famously, we attributed the saying, your 15 minutes of fame. Have you guys ever heard that before, where someone says, ooh, you're going to get your 15 minutes of fame, as if that somebody is destined, everyone is destined at some point in their life to be really well known for something, even if it's just 15 minutes of something. And that can become, something that people pursue in a bad way, like they want to be notorious, which means well known for doing something bad. But then some people really go after that, like they really want to get enough followers on TikTok, or they want to get enough subscribers on YouTube that they become an influencer. And so we think that Andy Warhol is the one who kind of coined that phrase. Here's a self-portrait that he created that's in the Museum of Modern Art. That's in New York City. It's where Starry Night is also housed. And this is the style that he was really known for in the mid-60s, the screen printing. This is actually created by painting on a screen, literally what you think of, like mesh, painting some stuff on a screen that blocks some of the screen and leaves some of the screen open. Then you lay it down over the paper and you put ink on it and you pull it. It's actually something in our classroom in 8th grade if you want to try it. But these he did hands. He of let's see if I can find. I actually have some of his artworks here. He did them of all kinds of different famous people. He famously painted Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, all kinds of different people. Elvis Presley. This is his wiki right here on WikiArt. That's another one that he created. Same guy, very different hair. Evan, kind of reminds me of the hair you sent me in your photo, huh? Sorry. Whoops, let's go back here. Okay, and then here's some of the artworks that there will be some of his portraits in here, so you can kind of see a little bit. I told you that he was famous for saying 15 minutes of fame, and then also he was, he kind of, every time he made a new self-portrait, he wanted it to be entirely different than anything he had ever done before. So this one with the camouflage and the glasses, and these that look like they're like infrared, and they're, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a few more here. And they look super intense. He didn't want himself to be recognizable from one portrait to the next. So that's where we kind of get this idea that maybe he was really, sorry, I don't know why it's going like this. Like that he was really wanting to hide himself and kind of get out of the private eye because he was, I'm sorry, the public eye, because he was getting to be really famous and he didn't like that. In fact, there was an attempt on his life. Someone tried to murder him and almost did. She shot him and he came through finally, and then ended up dying really young, unfortunately. So many of these artists who are kind of tortured souls like this. But he died from a gallbladder surgery gone bad, which is really crazy. It was even so crazy at the time that people kind of wondered if he wasn't faking his own death, because he was this kind of, you know, larger than life type of personality. The only comparison right now that is in like pop culture that I would have for him, and it's not a direct comparison, but think about Lady Gaga and the way that every time you see her, she looks totally different. And there's probably somebody else that I don't know of, like a TikTok person that's more like that. But almost every time you see her, she looks different than the time before. And that's kind of what Andy Warhol was like. Okay. So that's it. We were going to look at one other one, but with the time we have, we need to go ahead and wrap up here. So just kind of wanted to give you guys a look at some of the artists we would have looked at in class together. We would have gotten to talk a lot more about them and kind of dig a little deeper into that. But thank you for listening and paying attention to that. Let's see. Any questions about any of those artists or anything we talked about? Or anybody have a comment? You're welcome to. Okay. Anybody have a comment about the artists that you found that matched your selfie that you thought was interesting? All right. Let's let Ethan turn on his camera and show. I'm going to stop sharing my screen really quickly. So hang on, Ethan. Make this a little bit easier for us. He's going to go ahead and turn on your camera and just kind of hold your phone up to the camera and let's see what you got there. No, Cooper, you don't have to do anything in Canvas if you were here today. Oh, good. Thank you, Nate. All right, Ethan, I see you on here, but you need to turn your camera on if you want to show me that. Okay. Huh. Let me see what I've done here. I don't think I've done anything to disable it. Okay, so Ethan, if you want, oh, you see it? Oh, cool. Okay, maybe I'm just lagging. All right, let me turn off my grid view really quick and see if that's why I can't see you. Okay, Ethan, are you showing? He might. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and talk, and that'll put you on the main screen so that everybody can see you. That will spotlight you.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
All right, hold on. Let me. I'm putting mine on spotlight too. So many different controls here.
Okay.
Okay. Is your camera on too?
Yeah. The camera's on.
I hear you.
Hmm.
I see Nate. Nate has.
Maybe you just need to click on my little profile photo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and see if I can get to you really quick. And I'll find you in the sidebar. And then I will. There for a second, then it went away. Okay, that's helpful, Caleb. Okay, Ethan. I'm gonna click on you. Ethan Darty, not Ethan Roberts. I can see it. I see Ethan. Main screen for a few seconds. That's really weird. Okay, Ethan, I'm going to blame it on my crazy situation in the backseat of my car here. I'm looking at you and I can't see anything. So I've probably done something stupid here to not be able to see that. So I apologize. Okay, email that to me. But for all your work as we were doing this, I'm going to put your name. It looks a lot like him. Okay, I'll take your word for it. I'm going to put your name in the drawing too. Okay, so thank you for that. Okay, let me get down to the bottom here. All right, quick review, and then we will draw while I'm getting the Bob Ross wheel of fun here. So we looked at a few artists. We looked at Frida Kahlo. She's a Mexican artist who's really popular now. So believe me, you can find about anything out there about her you want to. Kind of weird at times. So prepare yourself for that. And then we looked at Van Gogh, who's super famous for so much, but he really was big into self-portraits because, well, he just really felt like it was important for him to express himself in that way. And then Andy Warhol, remember his were masks. He didn't want to look the same. He kind of wanted to hide, but he still wanted to be famous. That 15 minutes of fame that was important to him. So kind of interesting. All right, so let's pull up the Bob Ross Happy Little Wheel of Fun. Today, I'm going to have to share my screen with you. Today, the prizes are going to be a little different, and I apologize for this because I can't. I've been hacked. I got hacked through Amazon. Yay! As I told you already, I've been dealing with that this week. So I can't, like we did in the past, just send you an Amazon gift card. So instead, the only other gift card that I can easily share with you guys, if you want it, and if you don't, I understand, would be a Starbucks gift card. So somebody who's still here, Marissa, if you're still here, will you unmute and tell me if you can see the Bob Ross Happy Little Wheel of Fun?
No, not yet.
Okay. It should be coming, so I'll wait till you guys can see. I guess maybe just unmute and tell me when you can see it, if you don't mind. All right, so the options this time are...
I see it now.
Okay, thank you. Are the contour portrait, which I will mail to you. And then this time, if you want, I'll send you a $5 Starbucks card, an assignment pass, which just means email me and be like, hey, I don't want to do that assignment. And we will still sing a group song to you if we land on that too. So I'm just going to go through the names of people who answered or shared their portraits. The first one is going to be Kaylee. Kaylee, if you're still here, will you unmute and let me know?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to spin. Let's see what you won. All right. $5 Starbucks card.
Yay!
Is that something that interests you? Would you like that? Okay, hang on. Sorry. So yes, you would like a $5 Starbucks card?
Yeah.
Okay, so the best way for me to get that to you is for you in your school email, or if your mom wants to email me or whatever, send me the email address that I can send that to. I cannot send it to your school email. I need a different email address, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. And then the next person, we're going to do 3 today. The next person for the drawing is Caleb, because he's got like 4 entries in here. So that makes sense. All right, Caleb, let's see what Bob's got for you today. Nice poster in your room, by the way, of Bob.
Yeah,
All
it's
right,
pretty good.
Caleb, you get it. Pretty good. All right. So I'm going to remove that option. We're down to a contour portrait, a $5 Starbucks card, or a group song, and that's going to go to Sophia. We're going to spin for you. Here we go. I guess you're still here, Sophia. Oh, no.
I'm here.
Oh, Sophia. Okay. So you got, seems like this happened last time too. You got the group song. So let's stop sharing. All right. If a bunch of people hop off right now, shame on you. Shame on you. All right. Sophia, what are we going to unmute and sing to you?
I have so many songs I love.
She just left.
Who left?
Mrs. Sowders.
Miss Sowders. Did Caden leave?
Rude.
Oh, I know one. I got one. Got
Because I'm not
one.
me neither.
Party in USA by Miley Cyrus, yo.
Oh no.
Oh goodness, why?
Because I have a full song of I have a full list of songs on my phone.
Oh, she's back. She joined in again.
Okay, Miss Sowders, I figured it out. At all?
Miss Sowders, you're mute.
And it's like my whole screen went away.
Yeah. Okay, I figured out a song.
Okay, what is it?
Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus.
Oh.
Okay. Can you man, who's gonna start us? Like, I know it, but I can't.
I'm not.
I have the song on my phone.
Okay, you play it and we'll sing to it. Okay, so everybody unmute. You gotta get ready for this.
Tell me when to press the button.
So we're recording.
It's not unmute.
Okay.
It'd be good if it's if it's like the middle, you know, like hands up, all that.
I can put it on my giant speaker.
Okay,
Please
good.
do.
Because I think, oh, Addie, I think I'm late for our Hive meeting.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you even got like the lights going on and everything, like dance party right here.
Disco.
Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
Let me find you again.
I see a lot of muted mics right now. I am not loving this. I have attendance, so I know who left.
I did not leave.
No, you did not. All right.
Something again.
Something that can't be next time. You know what? This is awesome, baby.
I can barely hear it. That's why I'm like,
Can you hear it?
I do.
Party in the USA. That goes right.
It's up to play my song. The butterflies fly away. Not another like it. It's like yeah. It's to play my song. The butterflies fly away.
Something about partying in the USA.
party in the USA. All right. Sorry about our totally awful connections here that made that really difficult. Okay.
We should form a
Thank
choir.
you, Sophia, for my day with that. All right, guys, I am late for my hive. They're gonna, hopefully a few of them who are here will just stay. But I gotta go. Miss you guys so much. Check this out if you want.
Bye. Hope you're
But you don't have to.
Bye.
Okay.
Adios.
All right. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Kaylee, you should turn your camera off.
Hey, Mrs. Sowders.
Yeah.
Just curious, when exactly is the meet to discuss the elephant thing I'm doing for the art show?
So you just me and you, or the big one for everybody?
Just like
me and you.
Wait, Marissa, are
Okay.
you in your hive?
Hey,
You know
email
what?
me when I get home in a little while, like 1-ish. I'll email you
Okay.
back and we'll talk. Okay, that'd be the best thing because I can do that at home. 1-on-1 is no big deal. All
Okay.
right.
Miss Sowders.
Okay. See. Yes.
Miss Sowders. Is there no more?
Yes.
Is there no art show? Did they cancel it?
Oh, that's a good question. So we are going to do a virtual art show, and I will send out like a recorded video of me. Yeah. So my advanced art is actually kind of planning that and getting it ready. And you guys are just going to be able to send me pictures, and we're going to do a live show, like a live stream of it, and we'll show off your work that way. Okay.
Okay.
So stay tuned. All right. I got to go. I'm late for my hive. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.